or postnatal development. So after you were born and all the way until you reached puberty, your primordial follicles with primary oocytes remain arrested where they were in the diplotin stage of prophase 1 of the first meiotic division. Following me so far? Mm-hmm. But not all 2 million make it. Okay, so you were born with 2 million out of the 7 million oogonia, right? Actually, most of the 2 million you were born with, they degenerate as well. And around puberty, you probably have about 40,000 primordial follicles with primary oocytes remaining in both of your ovaries. So now you're down to 40,000. Okay? At puberty, when the ovarian cycle or the menstrual cycle starts, a hormone called follicle stimulating hormone. You see that? Follicle. We have a primordial follicle now. So you have a follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. That hormone will come and will stimulate the primordial follicle. Every month in the ovaries, a pool of growing primordial follicles is maintained. Every monthly cycle, about 5 or 15 of those 40,000 primordial follicles start growing. And the follicular cells, remember that sheet of follicular cells around the primary oocyte? Those follicular cells, which are around the primary oocyte, become cuboidal. They become cuboidal, meaning they get a little bit fatter. They start getting fatter like that. So they look like cubes now rather than flattened cells. Now we call this follicle, instead of a primordial follicle, now we're going to call it a growing follicle. Once we start seeing that these flat epithelial follicular cells are becoming enlarged a bit and they look like cubes, they're cuboidal, now this is a growing follicle. And then they become multi-layered. So instead of them just being one layer, then you will have layers. And when they are multi-layered, we call that stratified cuboidal epithelial cells. And at this stage, it is called primary ovarian follicle or primary follicle. All right, so we went from what? We went from primordial follicle to a growing follicle to a primary ovarian follicle or just primary follicle. With me so far? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now the primary follicle still has primary oocyte or ovum arrested in diplotin stage, but now with a multi-layered or stratified cuboidal epithelium or follicular cells, and it is now called primary follicle. And around these stratified cuboidal follicular cells, a connective tissue starts to differentiate from the ovarian stroma or tissue.